Every relocation video shows you the same thing. The trails on a perfect fall morning, the Crystal Bridge's exterior shot, and downtown Bentonville on a Saturday when the light is just right. And look, all of that is true, and I'm not going to tell you that it isn't. But here's what nobody shows you. Tuesday. What does Tuesday feel like in Northwest Arkansas? What does a Wednesday evening look like? What do you actually do on a random Saturday when there's nothing planned and you just live here? That's what this video is. Not the highlight reel, but an actual week. Because before you uproot your family and move somewhere new, you don't just need to know what the trails look like. You need to know what your life is going to feel like. I'm Eric Eby, executive broker with the Naturally NWA home team at Collier & Associates. I've been licensed for over 10 years and I've helped over 300 families relocate to Northwest Arkansas, and I've personally lived here for over 20 years. I've actually moved 41 times, so I know what it feels like to move somewhere new and have the day-to-day reality not match what you pictured. NWA matched for me, more than matched, honestly. So here's what a real week here actually looks like. We're gonna walk through a full week, Monday through Sunday, morning to evening, the stuff that makes it into brochures and the stuff that doesn't. And I wanna be clear about something before we get into it. I'm not going to pretend every day here is magical, because some days are just days where you go to work, pick up the kids, and make dinner, and that's life everywhere. What I want to show you is what the texture of these ordinary days feels like here versus where you're coming from, because that's actually the thing that's determining whether you're happy 5 years from now. Let's go. Let's start with a part nobody puts in the brochure, Monday morning. So Monday morning in Northwest Arkansas, if you're working remotely, and a lot of the people who relocate here are, your morning looks like this. You wake up, you make coffee, and within about 10 minutes you can be on a trail that's honestly super cool. The Razorback Greenway runs 38 miles through the heart of Northwest Arkansas, and the Bentonville Trail system has over 100 miles of single track, which is pretty awesome when you consider that it's sitting right in the middle of a city. That's what's available to you at 6:30 a.m. on a Monday, before most people in LA have even gotten out of bed. And if you're commuting to an office, Wal-Mart headquarters, one of the supplier companies, or a local employer, the commute inside in Northwest Arkansas is just a different experience from what most people are used to. The region is growing and traffic does exist. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But the scale is just different. Most people I work with who come from Dallas or LA describe the Northwest Arkansas commute the same way, which is something along the lines of, it's almost disorienting how short it is. And then there's the evenings, which is honestly the thing that gets people the most. You get home at a reasonable hour, you actually have time. Time to cook dinner, time to take a walk, time to be present with your family on a weeknight. And for a lot of people moving here from high-cost, high-pressure cities, that feels almost weird at first because it's not something you're used to. Okay, here's the part I actually want you to sit with, because this is the one that gets people. There's a specific kind of Saturday in Northwest Arkansas that I've heard described more times than I can count, and it goes something like this. You wake up with no real plan. Maybe you hit the trails in the morning. Nothing serious, just an hour on the Greenway or the Slaughter Pen trails in Bentonville, and you stop at a coffee shop on the way back and grab breakfast somewhere local. Someone mentions Crystal Bridge's is doing something. Free admission as always, and you think, sure, why not? So you spend an hour there and you're home by noon. In the afternoon, your kids want to do something. So there's a youth soccer game, or you hit one of the parks, or you just end up at Beaver Lake because it's 20 minutes away and it's absolutely beautiful. You get home, you grill something, you sit outside. And at some point during that Saturday, it hits you. I did all of that today in one day in the same city, and I still have tomorrow. That's the moment. I've had people call me on a Sunday after a Saturday like that and say, okay, we're doing this, we're moving. And not because any one thing was extraordinary, but because the combination of it all, the access and the pace and the fact that it's just available on a random Saturday, adds up to something that's really hard to find anywhere else at this price point. Now, if you have kids, this section is specifically for you. Here's what a week looks like with kids in Northwest Arkansas compared to what I hear from families coming from bigger metros. In a lot of major cities, and I hear this constantly from families moving from California and Texas, weeknight activities for kids require a level of logistics that basically becomes its own part-time job, where by the time you've done the drive to practice and back and dealt with the cost and the waiting, the whole evening is just gone. In NWA, the scale compresses all of that in a way that's honestly kind of awesome. Most of the families I work with end up within 10 to 15 minutes of everything their kid needs. School, sports, activities, the Amazium in Bentonville, the trail network that kids actually use, the park system, and it's all accessible without turning every weeknight into a logistical operation, which is really a different feeling when you come from somewhere where a Tuesday night activity meant an hour in the car. And on top of that, there's some super cool stuff being built right now, specifically for families. The Ozark United Football Club Sports District is a $250 to $350 million project. The Amazium is expanding, and Arkansas Children's Northwest just completed an $82 million expansion that took it from 25 to 40 beds. This region is investing in family infrastructure in a way that most cities its size just aren't doing right now. Last thing, and this one is harder to put on a stat card, but it's worth talking about. There are small things about life in Northwest Arkansas that accumulate in a way that's kind of hard to describe it until you're actually living it. Take the Bentonville Farmers Market on a Saturday morning. I know every city technically has a farmers market, but this one has been going for decades, and it's become one of those places where you start running into people you know, and that happens faster here than most places because Northwest Arkansas is full of transplants who are genuinely open to connecting with new people. And then there's Crystal Bridges, which I keep coming back to because having a world-class art museum that's completely free is just super cool, and it's not something most cities can say. Knowing that's just available on a random Wednesday evening when you feel like doing something different, that does something to the way a city feels to live in. And then there's just the general pace of it all. The fact that you can be somewhere quiet in 10 minutes, that there's actual dark sky at night outside of the city, and that Northwest Arkansas is still at a scale where it doesn't grind you down the way a major metro eventually does. Those things don't make it into the highlight reel, but they're what people are actually describing when they tell me Northwest Arkansas changed how they live. So here's the summary of what we covered. The weekday rhythm here is just different. Shorter commutes, more times, and mornings that are actually available before work starts. The Saturday moment is something you kind of have to experience to fully get, but the combination of what's accessible in one day and one area at this price point is really hard to replicate anywhere else. If you have kids, the scale here compresses the logistics in a way that gives your weeknights back. And the small things, the farmers market, Crystal Bridges, the pace, the quiet, they accumulate into a daily life that most people I work with describe as better than they expected. A week adds up to a month, and a month adds up to a year, and the families I work with who've been here a few years now don't really talk about the big reasons they moved anymore. They talk about the small ones. The Tuesday morning trail run, the spontaneous Saturday, the fact that they're home for dinner every night. That's what life here actually feels like. And if you want to talk through whether it's the right fit for your family specifically, that's the exact kind of conversation I have every week, so feel free to reach out to me. And if this video was helpful, please hit that subscribe button. I put out 4 videos a month specifically for people who are seriously thinking about making this move. I'm Eric Eby with the Naturally NWA Home Team, and I'll see you on the next one.